In this video, we're going to learn about Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. RAG has dramatically improved the responses of LLMs like ChatGPT or Llama or any of the other open source or closed source LLMs. LLMs historically have been known to try to make things up in the response without actually going and seeking outside context. And so vector DBs have made this possible, and good quality embedding models have made this possible. And so we're going to study it in this lecture. All right, so first and foremost, what is RAG? So I kind of alluded to this, but it's this technique for allowing a model to be able to retrieve relevant information in response to a user query or a message in order to improve its response. So if you type in a message that's asking something about, or if you send ChatGPT a message that's asking about, something that's related to the latest news in sports, which will be our example here soon, or the latest political news or whatever it is, it's going to, if you have the web search feature, or it might do this automatically, search the internet and search for sources that are relevant to your query. And then given your query or your message and the sources it retrieved, it'll then try to respond in the most intelligent way possible for you. And so that whole process is called RAG. So the main issue this solves, and I said this beforehand, is the hallucination aspect of LLMs. Before RAG became high quality and before it came on the scene, LLMs, if you send it a message, the LLM would respond and try to make up information or make up things in the message to make its response as good as possible. But at the end of the day, no matter how good it sounded, it was incorrect. And so this happened a lot. It was a major problem. But what was found through research is that if you gave the model outside relevant context and you prompted it to listen to that context when responding to the user query, it hallucinated far less. And it honestly improved the relevancy of the responses and the intelligence of the responses as well. And so how does it retrieve those results? Well, this should be pretty intuitive to you at this point. It's going to take as input your message and maybe some other processing may be done on that message to break it down into subqueries or something like that. But a very simple RAG pipeline is going to take as input your message or your query. It's then going to embed that and do a search, a semantic search, or potentially a hybrid search over your vector database, and then return relevant results. And then using your query and the relevant results that are returned from search, it's going to make a response. And so we're about to hop into a notebook for a very quick example on how we can use RAG on the vector database or the vector index that we created in the previous lectures. So I'm under the RAG section of this notebook. I'm going to instantiate my OpenAI client. You will need an OpenAI account and an API key to follow this lecture. It's very simple to set it up, and you can start playing with their models at, relatively speaking, low cost. So I have this generate RAG prompt function that's going to take as input a user message and then retrieve results from our vector database. And so retrieve results is just this function that we created up here that takes in a query, it embeds it using our embedding model, and then queries this vector index that we have right here for the CNN Daily Mail News and returns the top 5 results. And so it's just search. And then we're going to prepare it for feeding it in as context, and it's going to return this prompt. Now the prompt is going to be the user message, right, which you sent in, and then there's going to be a delineation where we're going to have context and then the list of results that are returned. So the model is going to see a user message and then a list of results as the prompt. This chat OpenAI function is going to take as input your user message, and it's going to pass in that prompt that's generated right here as your message into the as the user message. The system message here is just telling it that you're an assistant and that you need to listen to the context. And then we're going to return the chat output from there. We're using GPT 4.1 Nano, which is a very cost-effective model. And so my question is going to be, what is the latest news in sports? This is a very general question. I'm going to pass it in a chat OpenAI, and let's see what we get. So here's the user message. These are the chunks that were returned from our vector DB. And so you can see this is about the English Premier League. There's going to be some stuff in here about the NFL and the NBA. And so GPT decided that the best response is that given the context, the latest in sports, according to the provided context, so we know it's listening to it, involves major developments in major leagues globally. Notably, the NBA is planning to expand internationally with the formation of a European division featuring 5 new teams. And so we should see that in the context. I'm going to search European. And so we have the plans understood include the formation of a European division with 5 new teams in major markets. And this is talking about the NBA commissioner that said that. And so it is listening to the context and providing a relevant response. And so that is the basics of how RAG works. Production RAG systems and how they retrieve context and how they break down the user message and how they form a response are way more complicated than this, but this is a very simple example that gives you the fundamental principles of how